And just like that, welcome to part 2 of the DIY 2-zone orbit in-ground sprinkler or irrigation system, whichever you prefer. If you haven't already seen part 1, definitely go and watch it as there's a lot more details in part 1. This video is really here to show the install process of Zone 2 and how I made it different from Zone 1. I want to remind everybody that these are not how-to videos. These are here to show you what to expect during the install and what modifications you can make to make it work with your yard. I suppose for entertainment purposes as well. Anyways, let's get to it. Starting off, I bought an additional 3 rolls of blu-lock pipe, each 50 feet long for a total of 150 feet of additional pipe. I needed this because, as you can see, I used the entire second roll just to get out to this zone. Not to mention, here's the result of the mallet being used. At least I know where the pipe is. Anyways, where Zone 1 has one big loop, this one is going to have a main line coming down the middle of the yard, and it will get branched off to each individual sprinkler from the main line. I simply used some T-fittings to tap into the main line, then run a pipe straight to the sprinkler. If I had more knowledge about sprinkler systems at the time, I would have just spent the extra money and gotten the 3/4 inch blu-lock for the main line instead of the 1/2 inch. The way I do it in the video works great, but it could have been better. With the system planned and the locations already marked, it's time to put some stakes in the ground to prepare to connect the sprinklers. You'll notice I'm a little indecisive about 2 of the locations. That's because a couple of the heads don't get head-to-head coverage, and I was a little worried about that. But in the end, I just went with it, and to my surprise, it only had minimal effect. Now, even though my outcome only had minimal effect, try your best to get head-to-head coverage. On a side note, all of the sprinklers in this zone will also be using 1/2 gallon per minute nozzles at a pressure of 60 to 80 psi. Each head throws around 20 to 25 feet with these specs. With the stakes in the ground, it's time to put the fittings on the heads. Once again, I'm not using the drain valves because I use my air compressor system to blow them out. These 90 fittings you see me using don't come with the kit. I got these off the Home Depot website, and like I mentioned in part 1, this was the best place to get additional parts for this system. And of course, as usual, the file that contained the footage of me putting this all together is corrupted, so apologies for that. I'll at least give a quick walkthrough. The sprinklers on the end of a line are using the 90 fitting, and the 2 heads in the middle of the line are using the T fitting. Now just going to take a moment to question myself. I have no idea what I was thinking when I put this monstrosity together. I used a T and a 90 fitting. Why exactly? I'm not sure. But the next day I did change it to just the T fitting. Everything is connected and ready to go, so now it's time for the above ground test to make sure the fittings are tight and no leaks are present. You can see the pressure isn't as great as the first zone, and the 100 feet of 1/2 inch pipe as the main line is definitely affecting pressure at the heads, so that's why if I were to do this over, I'd go with the 3/4 inch pipe. I do upgrade the first 12 feet to 3/4 inch, and just by doing that, I got a noticeable improvement. So in this next clip, it's the next day, and you can of course ignore all the usual hand gestures as I go on and explain what changes were made to get a little bit of improvement. First off, I shortened the lines running to the sprinkler heads by a few inches as there was some extra length on those lines anyways, and I went around and Teflon taped the sprinkler heads to the fittings. Most manufacturers recommend you do this anyways for a nice, tight, leak-proof seal. But pressure wasn't the only issue with Zone 2. Later on, you'll see what annoying issue presents itself next. Now, without any further ado, it's time to start burying the system, which just like last time was no easy task, especially given my situation with what's under the ground. So I'll save you all some time and really speed this one up. You can watch the shadows moving in the background as the afternoon quickly turns to evening while I'm getting this done. Finally though, after some time, this sprinkler is successfully in the ground in all of 6 feet of pipe it seems, but that's okay, it's progress. About a half hour later and almost the entire pipe for that sprinkler is all set, and as you can see, my new method of pushing the ground back together with just my feet worked really well, and the incision in the ground is hardly noticeable. Now it's time to do the same procedure on the next one, or so I thought. This is where I discovered 3 of the sprinklers stopped rotating. You can hear the gears whirring away just fine, they're just doing a whole lot of nothing. So I contacted Orbit's warranty department using the online bot, and it approved 3 new Saturn III gear drive sprinklers to be delivered to me. And guess what? Here I am a year later and still nothing. What I did in the meantime, however, is move the 2 broken ones to the back where I could leave them above ground until the replacements came in. To replace these, I ordered the Saturn IV Professional sprinklers. I definitely recommend them. They come with a nozzle kit and adjustment key. A link will be left down below. Now back to the actual install. Like I mentioned earlier, this video isn't as elaborate as part 1. This video is again really here to show the install of Zone 2 for those wondering and how it's a little different from Zone 1. These are the last few clips I have of the install back in August of 2022. Fast forward to April of 2023 where we can witness Zone 2's first run of the year. All 6 heads survived the extremely cold winter with temps as low as -14 degrees Fahrenheit. And yes, the system was blown out before the first frost back in October. If your system has drain valves, you don't have to worry about that. Since this video isn't insanely long yet, instead of a part 3, I'm going to include this in part 2. Now it's time to upgrade the first 10 or so feet of pipe from 1/2-inch blu-lock to 3/4-inch PVC. At least it doesn't have to be that deep under here. But even then I still managed to have issues as part of an old deck piling was right where I wanted the pipe to go. Now it's time to assemble the pipe. I made these smooth 90 fittings to help the flow of water. This is kinda extra, but I needed the best flow possible. This is the pack I used for these pipes. You can use this pack, but there is a pack specifically made for irrigation and outdoor environments, so use that instead. Links are down below. With the pipe glued and the blu-lock adapters on the end, it was just a matter of getting it under the speaker wire without getting dirt in the pipe and connecting it all up. To connect the PVC to a timer, I used a 3/4-inch PVC female FPT adapter and then connected a brass male FPT female garden hose adapter. To connect the blu-lock to the other end of the PVC, I used the same female PVC fitting, but a brass male FPT male garden hose adapter. If you're going to do something similar, don't forget to use Teflon tape. Links for these are down below as well. After finishing all that up, I only had one leak from the non-brass fitting. That's why I now only use brass fittings. At least it was an easy fix. All that's left is to fill in the trench. Real quick before I end this video, this is what the new valve manifold and backflow preventer look like. I put this together in March of 2023, a month before the spring startup. These systems are easy to upgrade if you're willing to do some research, trial and error, and put in the time. The third valve is for a drip system. I hope this was useful insight into what installing one of these systems is like. Links for everything are down below, so thanks for watching and best of luck.